Welcome to the Rolling Out Peace and Purpose virtual retreat. This is a very powerful conversation with some powerful brothers. We're discussing Black men and mental health. Black men and mental health. We have with us today James Hill, CEO of Black Millionaires. He's a digital marketing guru as well. We have Sir Amazing, who is a certified life coach, best-selling author, motivational speaker. We have Troy Crossfield, who is CEO of Crossfield House Productions, as well as an actor, writer, filmmaker. And we have Matthew Chapman, host of the podcast Gents Post. Brothers, it's a pleasure to have you here. And just introduce, you know what? I'm going to start off with this, and you'll introduce yourselves as well. But because mental health is defined as ultimately how well are you doing, and how well are you feeling, as you introduce yourselves, first of all, just let us know how you feel. We can start off with James.
What's going on, guys? My name is James Hill. I'm the CEO of Black Millionaires, digital marketing platform that highlights Black millennials and Black millionaires across the world that are doing things entrepreneurial and also corporate leadership, building wealth. I'm doing okay. This is a crazy conversation because over the last week or so, I was struggling with some mental health things because I have a big event that I'm putting on. So it's kind of a lot of pressure on me. I had some friends that I was working with and it didn't work out. So that was kind of a tough thing that I had to swallow. And, I had some conversations with different mentors and different individuals who have my best interests at heart, who are not biased and not trying to get anything from me. And it's real good to have those type of people around you, especially in a position that I'm in. So I'll say I'm doing a lot better. And I'm working on communicating, some of the things I need from some of my business partners. And it's kind of hard because sometimes I'm working with people who are, 10, 15 times bigger than me in the space that I'm working in. So sometimes it'd be hard to communicate exactly what you want in fear of losing a relationship or offending people or anything. And I'm working on that and I'm getting a lot better at that. So that's something I've been dealing with over the last few weeks. And it's something that was a challenge, but I'm getting better.
Salute, James. Sir Amazing.
What's going on, world? Sir Amazing, certified life coach, best-selling author, and motivational speaker. I'm a little tired. I appreciate you, James, for sharing that much in detail with us. For me, it's so interesting that we're talking about mental health because when I think about mental health, my biggest therapy is going to the gym. And that's kind of where I let all my frustrations out, all my rage, just try to channel into like really healthy ways to release. And it's interesting because I'm sure for everyone in their own way, the holiday season can be extremely stressful just in general. And I could just even think about just a year ago, holiday season was really stressful for me. And how I responded to that stress was I really just shut down completely and was really isolated from the world. So this year is not the same scenario. And I'm really, really grateful that I'm at the place I'm at right now.
Salute, Sir Amazing. Appreciate that. Troy,
hey,
let us know how you feel.
Everybody. Man, I'm doing good. My name is Troy Crossfield, CEO of Crossfield House Productions, writer, filmmaker, director. Man, it's been actually interesting for me as well too. And I know we're gonna be talking about it today, hearing the news about Twitch. I also have a monthly men's group in Toronto called Iron Sharpens Iron, where Black men and all men, it's Black men's, not specific, but we cater to Black men, but we also open it up for everybody. So once a month we get together so men can talk about their issues, what they're going through, the hard things that we don't get to talk about, because usually when we get together, it's basketball, women, parties, whatever, we talk about everything else except for what's really bothering us, mental health issues, things that we're struggling with, family, finances. So once a month we get together. I started this thing like years ago, 3-4 years ago now. It was first just dedicated for celebrities who didn't have a chance to go to church. You know what I'm saying? So now we've opened it up for all men to come through, and it's been an amazing experience. Mental health wise right now, I mean, I like to say that I'm good, but I'm not doing too well. Just being transparent. Just going through some stuff, family issues, just finished production as well too. So my life has been on go, 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 go. And now Christmas is like, okay, focus on family. And it's just interesting because, everybody sees the light in you. Everybody believes in what you're doing, passionate about you. But there's sometimes where you don't believe that yourself. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you're just like, man, like, things aren't going well mentally because like you feel like you could be doing better, or you feel like, you know what I mean, you have imposter syndrome. Like so many things hit at this time of year. Finances hit, children, you know what I mean, family, wife, all that stuff. So yeah, man, just being transparent. That's how I'm doing right now.
Man, appreciate you, Troy, for sharing that. Sir Amazing, James as well. It's going to be a powerful conversation. So definitely taking into account what you all are sharing. We're going to unpack that with as much time as we need. If it's us allocating this entire session to 1 or 2 questions to unpack, every thought and feeling as well. So Matthew, if you could, man, share how you doing.
I'm happy to be here, man. I saw Troy, and I'm a big fan of Troy. I mean, like, I always see Troy. I'm like, oh, Troy's here, man, because I'm from Toronto as well. But speaking on like, this is great. I think this is the best time to do it because it's seasonal depression time, right? It's a time of the year when everybody is. Christmas is weird for me because my family's not super close, so it's. But like when I talk to people with family, and a lot of people go to the family, and it's even more stressful because it's like, now I got to see this aunt that I don't like, or this cousin that I can't stand, but now you have to fake this family dynamic, and it's hard. I'm happy to be here. Like I'm a huge imposter syndrome. Even like sitting here, like, what am I doing sitting here with all these great black men, and like, this guy's CEO of Black Millionaires, an author. You got Troy as an actor, like, and I'm just here, like little old me just sitting here, right? And it's me. I always try so hard to just highlight and talk about mental issues and self-care issues that it's good to talk on this panel with men that I know are on the same page with that.
I appreciate that, Matthew. And you're surrounded and you're amongst, you are also one of, man, what I call super beings. Black men are giants. Black men in this world, and definitely in America, as well as I'm sure there's challenges you've seen, man, Matthew, in Canada, man, but the Black experience is like no other. The Black man experience is like no other. And so for you gentlemen to be here today in sound mind, body, and spirit, covering the responsibilities that you all do, the way that you do, and showing up despite the challenges, you guys are heroes. You guys are giants. You guys are a part of an infinite space, and you guys are outstanding. And all the gentlemen who are listening, all of the Black men, particularly who are on this chat, who are, viewing, who are part of this rolling out peace and purpose experience, the 2 key words is peace and purpose. Mm-hmm. And so with everything that we deal with, our goal is to, especially as Black men, is to align with that peace, that inner peace within, and that purpose that we all are here. Everybody's here for a particular reason. James, Sir Amazing, Matthew, Troy, and all of the Black men, you brothers are here. The universe don't move without you brothers and what you all are doing. And every single Black man on this planet. That's how valuable we are. So I want to ask you, what does it mean to have this responsibility of being a Black man, given the challenges that we've historically had and that I'm sure you all have had throughout your life? What does it mean to be a Black man? And you all can take the mic, man. It's a freestyle session. Jump in the cipher, man, and do what you do.
I'll go ahead and answer, just because I introduced myself first, and I'll kind of break the ice. a lot of times in my studies and everything I do with business and everything I do in my personal life, I have multiple perspectives, because on one perspective, I have the Black perspective, just as a Black person, or a Black, not even a Black man, just as a Black person. And then I have a perspective of just different mentors or corporate people that I work with, and just men in general, right? And then I always have to filter that through being a Black man. So you can get advice from all Elon Musk or all these other big leaders in corporate America, but then you have to filter that through a lens of being a Black man in America. So when I look at that, I always look at it from a responsibility and an accountability perspective. And I always say, would a Black man be able to do that if it was something that was done wrong? And even when something is done right, I look at it and say, that Black man did that. He's not getting the highlights, the praise that he deserves, which is why I created my platform, to give individuals who are doing great work, give them a platform that will highlight them and champion them. Because I noticed, and the way I created my brand is, I met the guy that created the Super Soaker, the gun, the toy gun, the Super Soaker. His name is Lonnie Johnson. He's a Black man. If you walk past him, you wouldn't know who he is. He's worth $500 million. He was sitting next to me at a conference one day, and I'm talking to this guy about basketball. And we're talking about sports and all of this, and they're like, do you know who you're talking to? And I'm like, no, who is that? Right? And then when I talked to him after I figured out who he was, I'm like, wow, like, why don't we highlight individuals like that, right? So when I think about my life from a black man's perspective, all I think about is accountability and how I would be viewed from a perspective of things going right and things going wrong. So when things go right, I'm probably not going to get that pat on the back and the praise that I know I deserve. And when things go wrong, it's going to hit every single media and news site, and I'm going to be the worst person in the world. So I have to prepare myself for that. And that's just kind of how I live my life. So when I make decisions from that perspective, and I always try to cross my T's and dot my I's and watch my back and watch my family's back and the people that I'm with. And I always try to communicate that, hey, I'm a Black man in America. Like, I can't be out here doing certain things. I got friends who walk around with their gun out and just showing. I'm like, look, I can't do all that. I'm a Black man in America, right? It's like you're guilty and you have to prove your innocence. So that's kind of heavy to walk around with, at times. And that's why conversations like this is very, very important, because if I feel that way as a Black man in America who's doing well for himself, I can only imagine how someone of my same age who may not be doing as well financially or business-wise or, whatever, and he's just struggling trying to make ends meet, he has a whole nother burden on him. So I always try to look at it from that perspective.
Appreciate that, James, man. Accountability is the key word, because I'm a Black man and this is America. And Childish Gambino's words, man, salute. Anyone else want to share just what it means to be a Black man?
Man, hearing that, I love everything that James said. For me, it's the realization of the most dangerous being in America is the Black man who knows not only his identity, but his power in being a Black man. And what I see in the modern era is, and this is a perspective that I've observed, and I guess you could put me on a spectrum somewhere in the middle between Dr. Umar and Dr. Jordan Peterson, is I see a constant attack on the heterosexual Black man. I see a constant way of trying to either take away the financial strength, take away the character and credibility. On top of what James says, he said, first, before anything, before I'm a man, I'm a Black person. So it's already something when I walk into a room, no matter what city I'm in, no matter what country, no matter what I'm wearing, there's always the opportunity for that elephant to be in the room. And then I look at some of the ways that things are maneuvering from, whether it be from specific media outlets, whether it be from, we all live in the digital age now where social media, where people can try to, people may not agree with some of the things Kevin Samuel said. And I don't agree with everything he said 1,000%, but he did talk about accountability and ownership as a man. And there's a journey. And when I think about the Black man experience, there are specific books to me that every man should read, especially Black men. And Marcellus, my memory is coming back to me. I believe we met at Rolling Out because one of the books on my list is Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough.
No doubt, man. Absolutely. Yeah. We did meet, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's a book that's on my list. The Truth About Men by Devon Franklin. Pimp by Iceberg Slim. To me, that's a book that we all need to read to understand you have to have that hardened skin in order to operate in this world. And then the last one I'm going to say is The Way of the Superior Man. And The Way of the Superior Man, there's a couple chapters in there as the journey as a man. It opens up, I believe, to act as if your father is dead, meaning you have to own your own identity and your own masculinity as a man. And as a Black man, whether you're using terms like beta, alpha, sigma, whatever terms they want to label people now, you just have to be the greatest version of yourself within who you are and your masculinity. But the other side of it, there is no finish line. And I can reference that to David Goggins. Shout out to my hometown, Buffalo. David Goggins in his book as well, Can't Hurt Me, where he talks about there is no finish line. So to me, the reality of the Black man is it is searching and doing what you need to do, whether it be meditation, whether it be prayer, whether it be going to the gym, whether it be traveling, whatever those experiences are that lead you to the peace. And then also understanding that within your purpose, within our purpose, there is no finish line. It's always going to be a task that needs to be completed, but trying to find the peace to allow us to fulfill the purpose.
Man, that's epic. So amazing. You mentioned that we're powerful Black men beyond measure. And often your power begets being targeted. And so as you mentioned, and there's man, take that quote and place it within one that I heard. And Tim Grover, he wrote a book called Winning. And it is a relentless, dope books, man. You drop all those books, man. That's so amazing. Drop, man. You got to read all of them. Go to Amazon. No, go to blackbookstore.com and buy those books. But there's a quote that says, winning is not a marathon. It's a sprint with no finish line. So we'll run and everybody here, man, all of you all spoke about stress with the family, stress with an event as an entrepreneur, stress just walking, as a Black man in this world and in America. So we're running this sprint. So let's realize what we're running, sprinting, heavy breath. When you're running this fast, what are we running for or what are we running from? So we're on this constant sprint and it's no finish line. So we have to as a Black man, we have to understand that this pace, I may have to do this for the rest of my life. Because it's going to be family. It's going to be additional roles of leadership. It's going to be additional unique spaces of being in this world and being this target, as well as having all this power. And I still got to be the son to it. I got this fire within me. You talk of the way of a superior man, to have this fire that can burn up a home, but it's also needed to light up the home. And we have to create that balance there. So I'll ask, and Troy and Matthew, you all can take this one. Heavenly shout out to Twitch. That was some recent, news that we received. And just to be honest, it's so heartbreaking because not only he passed at a very young age of 40, but it was of suicide, allegedly. So that is a very dark space. And as Black men, we have to become so familiar with death at a very young age. And we see it in ways that don't really mirror other people in the world. So at a very young age, we had to embrace death by very unconventional circumstances. And so we're targets so much that, and even going back even further, suicide was a way for a Black man to escape. I have a great grandfather who was a prominent person born, not too far outside of slavery, and accumulated some sense of success for himself. But because he began to be targeted, he committed suicide. And so these are things, when we see them generation after generation, there's something on our back as we're running this sprint. And sometimes we feel like it's too heavy. And so I'll ask, and Troy and Matthew, you all can take it first. When we're in that dark space and when it becomes too heavy, Troy, you mentioned right now you're dealing with, family, all different types of situations, and the common denominator is stress. How do we deal with all of that weight and that stress to see the next day?
Man, I guess it's a multi-layered question. But for myself, I'm going to speak from a spiritual perspective. When God created man, his first job was to take care of his garden. God kept Adam busy, you know what I'm saying? Taking care of his garden, naming the plants, the animals. That was his job, his purpose. And then God created Eve. And we know the story, what happened there. I've been listening to a lot of Miles Monroe lately on YouTube. And I would suggest every single Black man go listen to this man. Because we are in the age now of our women want to be outside. The men aren't enough. We're hearing that, women are saying, I'm going to go find a rich man in Nigeria. Like, the world is already giving us so much pressure on us. It's like we need to reset and go back to what our original purpose was, that was made for us, which was to work and take care of our garden. Our garden is everything, not even just outside, but in ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So like, I had to really take a step back to be like, all these external factors, family, finances, wife, children, those things were affecting me in negative ways because of the way I was looking at them, because of the way I was looking at myself. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel that, like, as Black men, we need to go back and can connect to our original purpose, which is creator. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? My purpose is not just to serve myself. You know what I'm saying? It's to serve others, serve God. And even at Iron Champs Iron, we're their support group to hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? That's another thing that's missing in our community, Black men being accountable for each other, like, bro, you're outside with all these women and stuff. That you got a wife at home, you got kids at home. Maybe you should be at home. You know what I'm saying? You're spending all this money at the club, but bro, I know you have some financial issues. You should be at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel that, like, we need to get back to our true purpose, taking care of ourselves, raising up other Black men, and raising our children. My son is getting so much information from me right now because of all the stuff that I'm going through. I'm like, I have to give this to you, because you know what, as well too, I wasn't given a blueprint. You know what I mean? My father wasn't there. A lot of our fathers weren't there. So it's just like trying to navigate the world without a GPS. Y'all know when you're driving on the highway without a GPS, we're like, damn, I wish I turned on my damn GPS, because I would have known that there was traffic here. I would have known that there was an accident here. That's what fatherhood does for children in their lives. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we need to get back to our default setting, get back to being the GPS roadmap for other brothers who are going through situations. And also, like, even calls like this is already encouraging me and inspiring me. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of the things that I've been like really like, you know, writing out and thinking about lately, and, you know, journaling, meditating, reading those books. I read Think and Grow Rich, you know, Produced by Faith, like a lot of reading as well. So there's so much knowledge out there. Like as brothers as well too, there's a lot of brothers who do not take the time to sit down and be like, yo, let me get a hard copy of a book and just read. There is so much power in reading alone. There's so much information like this. You know, these are just tools, man. Instagram, TikTok, we spend hours a day on this, but like if you were to pick up even a Bible for 10 minutes, it'll change your life. I promise. You know. So anyways, that's what I wanted to just share for a minute.
So, I know we're talking, you can hear me, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about like how we deal with stress when you're in a dark time. And I think for me it's honestly the exact opposite from what you were saying, Marcellus, about sprinting and a marathon. I believe it's a marathon, not a sprint, because you won't sprint for so long. And for me, the goal is to get to the finish line. If you're sprinting in the finish line is there. If you only getting here, you're gonna die out, and that's what happens because you think you got to be there by a certain time. For me, if it's a marathon, it's okay. I just gotta get to the fucking finish line. I don't care how I get there. So like maybe if maybe I have to walk a couple steps and then jog and then sprint and then jog and then walk. But as long as I get to the fucking finish line and know that I'm still moving, because if you're sprinting and you're stopping, you're done. You collapse. That's how you know you're done. For me, it's like it's a marathon. It's okay. I could stop, but as long as I'm walking, maybe I take 2 steps back but move forward still. And I find like the hardest thing for me is when I'm stressing is to realize is to slow down and take a step back. Because when you're sprinting, you're rushing. When you're rushing, you're stressed. And I find that's even like when you're driving and you see people on the highway and car accidents because they're rushing, they're stressed because they're late. Whenever you're rushing and they're sprinting to get to work, right? And you see people closing out in the slow lane. It's like, okay, because they're cruising, right? And I think if you move out of cruising, as long as you keep your goals updated and you know what you want to reach. And I think the main thing that's hardest, at least for me, is the timeline. And that's why I try not to focus so much on when I'm going to get to my goal. For me, it's just make sure I get to the fucking goal, and that's the hardest thing for me. And that's when I stress. I really try to step back and just really think. I'm saying, like Troy was saying, like to journal and just talk to somebody, anybody. If, like I said, if I can't find somebody to talk to, that's when I'll journal, and that's how I'll talk to myself out loud. Right, write down my thoughts, how I'm going through, and it's just really a step back and like, hey man, like you got this. Just remember, you just got to get there, and you're gonna get there because stuff like this, we're all going to help each other out in some way.
When you say marathon, great context, and just think of Nipsey Hussle. That was a theme of his as a serial entrepreneur, as you guys are. And man, that's great context. So what we can gather from that, and there's a quote I shared in a book that I co-wrote with another fellow entrepreneur. It's called Run It, but the race is already won. All you have to do is run it. So to your point, Matthew, those goals is from a higher thought manifestation purpose. Like the race is already won. Like Matthew already got Gent's post. You know, like you already got the podcast. It's already dope as hell. Like regardless of how many more sponsors, like it's already there. I'm already going there. I already know I need it. And you've already provided what us and so many other gentlemen, particularly Black brothers, need. You know, same with James, Sir Amazing, Troy. Like, y'all already are dope. Like, of all the people that Rolling Out could choose to speak with for this very important topic, they specifically called you all. Y'all specifically took the call and got here in this moment. So when we talk about this baggage and this weight and this life sprint that we feel is as you say, Matthew, it's a marathon, and that race is already won. For us to be right here, right now, it's no telling how many bullets you avoided, how many traps, how many cracks, man, that you all didn't fall into. And for all the brothers on the chat, like, we're here. And for all of the traps that have been put in place for generations, for us to even be here and to be disconnected from our culture, and yet we still are able to reconnect because of this spiritual power, you know, Troy and Matthew, that y'all speak on, like, it's a powerful thing. And so we are winners. And I think remembering that, so I'll ask you all, and anyone can take this, how do we remind ourselves? How do we give ourselves this reminder that we are winning and that we are where we need to be in this journey, in this marathon? How do we get into a happy space to say, I'm okay, regardless of what's going on? Do y'all have any hacks for that, or any things that you all do?
What I do in the mornings, from my children and I'll be quick. I journal every morning. So I speak to God, say my prayers, and I write out my tasks for the day. You know what I mean? And I'm, make my to-do list. And a part of that is saying affirmations to myself and with my children, because, nobody's gonna speak into you those times in the morning. You're gonna wake up, you're gonna touch your phone, you're gonna do things like that. So I don't touch my phone, I don't touch my laptop, nothing. The first thing I touch is my journal, and of course my Bible and stuff like that. And I spend that time. I think how you wake up, how you start your day. We've been talking about races all day. We already know that if you get a good start to your race, to your day, you might win. You know what I mean? And the goal is to win. The goal is to continue on the marathon. It's also how you finish. How you finish is important. We know that. But how you start is very important. So I start with affirmations. I go to the gym in the morning as well too. You know what I mean? First thing. And that's another thing that brothers, like, we need to do that. Not, you know what I mean? Not be weekend warriors, but hit the gym, hit those affirmations daily, read. And also too, another thing I've been reading as well too is our love languages, man. We can't ignore those things. I've just finished the 5 Love Languages. Amazing book. These are just like maps to yourself, because a lot of people don't know what they need. You know what I mean? And that's a key point as well too. And with all the things that we're going through, because like we're there like sitting, fighting, like, even like men cheating on their wives and cheating on their girlfriends, whatever. It's just because like you're missing something that you don't know that's inside yourself, that this person, they can't give it to you because you're not communicating to them. You know what I mean? So like reading, getting sources of information is so important, man. Just want to say that.
Love it, Troy. Great tools: journaling, affirmations, reading, powerful tools.
I got 3 for you. So number 1 is find your song, whatever that is. So for me, right before we started, I play Amazing. I love Ye. When I listen to that song, Sir Amazing is all tied to when I listen to every lyric in that song, it's the reminder of like, look. And then when Jeezy raps up, look what he's been through. He deserves an applause. So amazing. So amazing. Like whatever your song is that gets you going, that's one. Number 2, one of the greatest investments that I made was YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium. When people put on a YouTube video and it's got ads, I cringe. I'm like, I'm not used to this. I don't know what this life is like. But YouTube Premium, because we all know about YouTube University, but YouTube Premium, the fact that you don't have to keep the video on, the fact that you can skip the ads and save yourself so much time and just taking whatever information is, whether it's a podcast interview, whether it's a motivational clip that somebody's put together, whether it's an audio book. I mean, Miles Monroe's got plenty of clips. I mean, Rev Ice got plenty of clips. There's so many different ways to take in information right from YouTube, and YouTube Premium is worth the investment of what, $12 to $13 a month. Another great investment that I made from a spiritual side is a John Maxwell Leadership Bible. A John Maxwell Leadership Bible. I read my Bible daily. And the great thing about the John Maxwell Leadership Bible is throughout the Bible, throughout the chapters, there's specific leadership tools that he breaks down for certain verses. Leaders do this. Leaders have to sacrifice. And one of the biggest things I think we all can attest to as a man and as a Black man is leadership is really sacrifice. It's literally when you put everything else, when you put your purpose before you in a way, and you have to find like, how does a leader define it? And he tells you the positive and the negative of leadership of different examples. So those are 3 life hacks for sure. Finding your song, YouTube Premium, and a John Maxwell Leadership Bible.
Man, so amazing. What I love of all of that, that song, I even think about, Colin Kaepernick. There was a commercial and he had on his Beats by Dre, and he had his song in his head walking through, regardless of the critics. That was even before, I believe, his courageous protest. But we have that song in our head that we can tap into. And I found that music is the only thing that stimulates every part of the brain. So immediately, motor skills, memory skills, all of everything that the brain can activate, music actually does that. So when we talk about these instant ways of getting to a space of peace, a space of aligning back with purpose, that is really great. So no, that's powerful. I will, when we talk about mental health, and one of the main challenges with that, which we spoke on, is stress. And stress comes from shame. And as a black man, when we have responsibilities, when we are these leaders, like you said, Sir Amazing, where if the key is sacrifice, man, that is a lot that we're dealing with in these roles of leadership. And so shame, and there is a lady, Brene Brown, who said shame, the part of the brain is activated when if somebody spilled hot coffee on you, is the same part of the brain activated with shame. So whenever we feel shame, it could be because of financial issues, something going on at work, something going on within our family, something going on within a relationship, something going on within the world. It is very shameful for a black man to see another black man having a knee kneeled on his neck for 8 minutes and his life being taken, and almost feeling helpless, because there's something within us that, to what you've shared, Sir Amazing, is that warrior. We want to get out there and do something. So to see that day in and day out, and have to find some sort of calm, there's some shame to overcome in that. So I'll ask you, brothers, how do you overcome shame? Because that's what a lot of, even when we see crimes in our community, is based on somebody protecting their ego because they felt shame. And we carry that as a badge of honor. How do we overcome that shame to get to a place of peace?
This is a good question. I wanna jump into it. So one of the things I do is I'm dedicated to the grind, and I think Inky Johnson said this so good. He said you have to be dedicated to the grind, but without being emotionally attached to the outcome. Right. So I think one of the things that a lot of men, in particular black men, struggle with is like the whole idea of falling off, or you was once this and now other people don't see you as that anymore. So like you said, you're ashamed of what you once were, or you're trying to strive to get to what you once were. And I always look at it as, I'm alive. I'm living to fight another day. And I'm always thinking about whatever I have going on now, I'm just getting started, right? So if things go south, I know I'm going to be able to pick back up and grind and go for the next level as long as I have a fighting chance. So a lot of times I communicate to, when I'm talking to young people, I always try to tell them the object is to stay in the game, which means make sure you keep yourself out of harm's way so your life isn't in danger, or you keep yourself out of harm's way so your life isn't put on hold by, going to jail or whatever you have going on. And as long as you are free and you have willpower to make a decision on how you want to approach the next day, you don't have to face that shame of I fell off or I made a mistake. It's okay to make a mistake, and I give myself the license to make a mistake. And I also don't put myself in positions to where if I have to make a mistake, it could cost me my freedom or it could cost me my life because I live to fight another day. Let me give you guys an example. So I love to travel, right? Traveling is my thing. I love it. The way I learn is by making mistakes constantly, learning from my own mistakes, learning from other people's mistakes. And in 6 months to a year or whatever, people will look at me and be like, man, you got real good at that skill. I was thinking about becoming a pilot, right? Like actually flying planes, like flying helicopters. I love planes. I love helicopters. And the way I made a decision on whether I was going to buy one or not, because you can buy like I know people think private jets and planes are just like hundreds of millions of dollars, but you can buy like a jet or a plane for like $200,000 to $300,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but when you financing and doing all that, the average person can afford a plane, is what I'm trying to communicate, right? And I had to make a decision and be honest with myself about my learning style. Can I afford to make a mistake while I'm in the air? Can I afford to make 3 or 4 mistakes on my process of learning to fly this plane by myself, not with someone else in there? And I decided, no, I don't think I can, right? Because those mistakes are critical in its life and death. So I don't want to put myself in a position of not being able to make a mistake, right? So I think if we embrace the idea that I'm dedicated to the journey and the grind and not necessarily the outcome, because the outcome might be 3 mistakes before you actually learn and you actually come out on top. And I think we need to give ourselves more grace and give ourselves more of a license to make a mistake or 2 or 3 in order to learn and come back. And we have to give other people that same license. So don't just give yourself the license to make a mistake and not give that same grace to other Black men in your proximity. So if a Black man bump you or you guys have a disagreement or whatever, I always say in the Black community, we're the only people that cancel each other and don't give you an option to come back. Like we canceling you and we don't allow you to come back and say, hey, I learned from this, I'm moving on. No, you're canceled and it's over. We're the only community that does that. And I think that's very unhealthy because we all make mistakes. And that part of that shame is if I make one mistake, I can't come back from it. And I don't think that's healthy. So I think we need to give each other more grace, more room to make mistakes. And we need to hold each other accountable to that standard of, hey, you have a license to make a mistake.
Man, love that, James. There's a quote that comes to mind. The best math you can learn is how to calculate the future costs of current decisions. But even within that context, and there's some serious math exams that Black men are given every day to calculate what our future will look like, even with the criticality of it, to your point, every Black man should understand it's just a mistake. If you make a mistake on this test of life, it's just a mistake. And to one of the key words you said, simple but yet profound, is we're alive. You're alive. So the game, stay alive. Stay alive. And it stay alive. I'll keep it there. And our breath and our space in this world is so important and so valuable. So Troy, you had mentioned the love languages, and I want to ask, as James kind of spoke to how we often see Black men constantly in the media being ripped apart, being canceled. So what should people, and I'm gonna say, how should Black women support Black men in a space where we are the first to get canceled?
Whew.
This is I'm creating all psychological safety parameters within this conversation. So brothers, we can speak from the heart. But what do our sisters need to do to help us?
It's so funny because actually my sister, she asked me today, she's like, how can we support men more, seeing everything happening to Twitch and what's going on with Black men's mental health. And I think the number one thing for me would be how we communicate with each other is very important, right? You can say anything to me, but how you say something to me is so important, because like you can be like blah 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 blah, you broke, you ain't got it, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna be nothing. You just like all those other ninjas out there. Versus like, I need to support you. What can I do to help you? You know what I'm saying? Like, because like at the end of the day, I think it's all, you know, love languages, all that stuff is beautiful when we're talking about a romantic relationship. But when it comes down to the core of it, it's like, yo, how can I love you like I love myself? Biblical principle. We all know it. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that like we just need to communicate more. Like for me, what I tell, you know what I mean, my sisters, you know what I mean, black women, be like, yo, like a lot of times in my relationship, I felt like it wasn't what was said, it was how it was communicated, one, and how I also was taking it as well too, which comes back to shame and pride and ego. You know what I mean? So we both have stuff to give. And I think like when black women and black men can come together and be like, yo, this is what I needed from you. I needed to just have a conversation with you. I needed you to just listen, and vice versa. I know I need to listen to you as well too. Like I just think that like things would just change and shift. But like right now, society, like I don't know if y'all listen to Kendrick's album. Kendrick's album changed my life. It actually also healed me as well too. That like, you know, a lot of them songs, like the transparency that he brought on his album. You know what I mean? Cheating on his wife, relationship woes. You know what I mean? Like even when he was a child, like there's so much traumas that we go through as black men already on the daily basis. And I think it was in Queen and Slim one time where like there was a scene, whatever, at the end of the scene, whatever, with Queen, she was at her uncle's house, whatever. And anyways, the girl said to him, she's like, you know, it's not about she said something like, he needs to feel like he's a king when he's at home. Because outside we get treated like everything else. But when you're at home, that's where he needs to be treated and supported like a king. So I think that like if I were to say, hey, black women, what is the message? How can you help us? We are equal to each other, but we need to feel like kings when we're at home, so we could treat you all like queens. We're together. You're in front. God, you know, God took the front. You guys are in the front. You're not in the back. It's not no behind every man is a good woman. No, in front of a good man is a good woman, because God took the rib out of the front of our body. He didn't take something out of our back and make them in the back. They're in the front. So anyways, just wanted to like, you know what I mean, but a little bit deep. But yeah, that's what I want to say.
No doubt, man. I appreciate that, Troy. Man, we have a couple minutes, and I want to give every incredible, powerful black man, you know, on this chat, time to share your response. One, how do you want people to communicate to you, to support? How do you want to be supported? That being one. So as an individual, and Matthew, Sir Amazing, James, Troy, how do you want to be supported? And then if you also can leave a message of how your advice for supporting another brother who is listening right now and is dealing with some very tough issues, what is your advice to him?
I would just say, just talk to somebody. I always like to say this, you always feel like especially when you get really deep, you feel like there's no one to talk to. And there always is. I remember when I was in my darkest point, same thing, I felt there's nobody to talk to. And as I was starting to, I guess, climb out of that space, I reached out to a buddy that came in, I need help, man. And his response was, fuck, bro, like, why didn't you tell me from so long ago? Like, you know, and as you know, months later, I reconnect with a friend. It's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, I was in a dark place. I just needed. I said, man, why didn't you let me know? Like, I could, like, you know. And I feel like it's a shame thing. It's the hardest part is asking for the help, because you think that makes you weak, but that's actually the strongest thing to do is to be able to ask for help, and you'll really get to see who's there to help roll with you. And anyone who's ever even watching this, if you're like, okay, you tried all your options, there's nobody you can talk to, message me, you can talk to me. Like there's always somebody. Like, you know, if you're in Toronto, you can go to Troy's men's group. There's always someone that's going to willing to talk to you, because and they were still all human beings. We don't want to see somebody leave this planet for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when everything, all the lights are, all the bright lights, all that stuff is gone, we're just human beings. It's just like you have that natural reaction. You want that person to be okay. Even people that you don't like get along with, like your enemies, you don't want to wish evil upon anybody. You still want them to be, you know, alive and well, I guess, in a sense, right? And it's just knowing that you can always talk to somebody and just try to talk to somebody, because the best thing, like the worst thing you could possibly do is just keep that shit bottled up in you, because it's just gonna sit there and just weigh down, and not talking about it doesn't help the situation.
I appreciate that. And Matthew, let us know, man, how can the Rolling Out Brotherhood help or support you with anything that you feel stressed out on?
Just more of these. It's more conversations, knowing what's going on, and hearing that people are doing well, and talking to more people, reaching more people, man. I just love when people are thriving. And I think it comes from a place from when all I was doing was trying to survive and getting out there. You don't want to see anybody into that spot. And it's so hard when you see somebody, even if you can even smell or sense a bit of that, like, inner upset, that, you know, that just something's in there. It's like, yo, just it's not like I always said, you don't have to talk to me, but you need to talk to somebody. And for me, it's just, if anybody needs somebody to talk to, just holler at me, man. Like that's good. Like, you know, if anybody you find, you know, heard somebody, like one of your buddies or somebody is like, oh, not feeling well, it's like, okay, I know this guy that you can talk to. He's down to talk. He'll listen to you, man. That's all.
No doubt. And brothers, are you all cool if your emails are made available for anybody who's inspired by what you all have shared to be able to reach out to you? In addition to, you all will share, you know, your social media as well. But are you all cool with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. No doubt. So I appreciate that, Matthew. And how can people follow you online?
It's at Mr. Chapman, MisterChapman. Then I have my podcast is Gents Post, GENTS Post. Both.
Okay. Salute. Okay. James, Sir Amazing, Troy, and y'all can take the mic and let us know, you know, words of advice you would give to a Black man that is dealing with a mental health challenge right now, and how we can support you in anything.
Go ahead, brother.
I was about to say, I actually have a few things. One, I wanted to just thank you, man. And I changed my schedule. Marcellus, when you asked the question to Troy, I was like, nah, I want a piece of that spice as far as how the women can love men. So I actually wanted to touch on that a little bit. And also I wanted to let Matthew and Troy know, I started a men's group out of Buffalo. We have men in Buffalo and Toronto. I no longer am a part of the group, but I started the group and they still meet. I can get you in contact with the current leaders if you are interested in being a part of that men's circle, where it's basically a weekly meeting through different structures throughout the year on Sundays, which is literally masked down, completely confidential conversations amongst men who not only hold you accountable, but also give some different principles that you can use to exercise in your life as a leader, as a man. So, you know, we could talk offline, connect offline if you're interested. Like I said, I can connect you with those leaders. And then I want to just share quickly about the ladies and how to love men. This lyrics that came to mind. I was in light of Twitch. I was discussing with one of my really good friends earlier today, and the lyrics are, when no one loves me and I don't even want to love me, I need you to love me. And I think about,
you got to repeat that again, man.
Yeah, you got to repeat that again.
All types of snaps going on in the chats, man. All types of rewinds.
When no one loves me and I'm not even going to love me, I need you to love me. And those lyrics come to my mind because I think about a leader like Michael Jordan. There are stretches when the Bulls were dominating the league and Michael Jordan was dominating the game of basketball where he was very challenging to love. And you would lose sight of, oh, man, this guy punched Steve Kerr in the face. Oh, man, this guy's cussing guys out. But when he won the championship, he was crying his eyes out. That's called passion. That's called in the heat of the battle, it may be a little bit more aggression. There may be a little bit more, why is he so enthralled? Because every man in his own way, on his own purpose, at some point in time, you're going to have that conversation with your significant other where you're super enthralled on the task at hand. And it may seem like, well, no, I don't care about what dress you're wearing right now. I don't care about your Amazon cart. But it's not because I don't care about you. It's because I'm enthralled in the purpose. So my advice to ladies is, and I'm not saying unhealthy practices. I'm not saying if a man is abusing you in some capacity to deal with that. But there are men who are serving a purpose, whether they be an entrepreneur, whatever the task may be, just striving for whatever he's striving for, to love him. Because part of being a man means, and the reason why I use Michael Jordan as an example, is part of being a man means we've got to do things that are part of being a leader. You've got to make the challenging decisions. Things are going to get rough. You got to make the things that don't feel good. James was talking about removing the emotions, not to go too deep off to another end, but a lot of the foods that a lot of people are eating have low testosterone in it. It impacts your interactions with yourself and the world around you as a man. So if our testosterone levels across the scale are extremely low in comparison to our grandfathers and so on and so forth, that's impacting our interactions with each other and with women as well. But I use that as an example as far as for the ladies to love men. Those men love you, even during the times when a man may have to do things and make decisions that make him uncomfortable. Sometimes the shame comes from, I don't even want to do this. I've had situations in my life. I had a situation in my life where I had to chastise somebody really close to me in a way that I didn't really want to. And I remember having a conversation with my mom. She was like, but you had to, because if you didn't, no one else would do it. And it hurt me to do. But sometimes as a man, as a leader, those are the things that we have to do. And in regards to answer the last question, so I could pass it to the next man to speak, I'm kind of on the same boat as Andrew Tate. Go to the gym. Go to the gym. Because it's a level of discipline that comes to you when you, and I'm not saying you have to be a power lifter like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can go boxing, you could do Pilates, you could do hot yoga, you could go on a bike, you could play basketball, whatever it is. You could play racquetball, you can go golf, go make some more money, go make some good contacts. Put yourself in an environment where you have to conquer. Not only conquering the things around you, but conquering yourself. Weightlifting gives you the opportunity to, you have to push yourself. It requires accountability. It requires discipline. It requires you to say, okay, I've got to do this and I'm not going to see the results immediately. You have to delay the gratification. If you're somebody that has not been in the gym in an extremely long time, you will not see the results we're in December now. You will not see the results in December until June. Every workout you do between December and May, you will not see any results until June. But when those results come, it's summertime, baby. And you know what that means.
Yeah.
And I think people get like, it's like we could watch Troy is an actor, right? So I'm sure there's different roles where you like fluctuate, your body fluctuates, like Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, right? Creed 3. Those guys do not look like that 12 months a year.
No.
But for 3 months a year, they're going to look like a superhero. They're going to look like those Greek myth gods, right? Because for 6 months, they went hard. They had a tight diet. They went to the gym. And guess what happens when you go to the gym? Not only does your testosterone raise, so you can kind of combat what we already deal with in the new society, your confidence level is high. And the cherry on top of the sundae is ladies are always going to appreciate whether it's your lady or another lady at the gym.
Game upon game. No, I appreciate that. It's amazing. And shout out to someone who's been a part of a Rolling Out chat before, Prince Daniels Jr. He's a mindfulness expert and coach. And he shared that with anger, anger doesn't just go away. You have to use that energy. So the gym is the perfect, I think, as men, black men particularly, we have to have a certain physical outlet to be able to release that energy, and the gym is a very productive place to do that. So no doubt. Sir Amazing, how can everyone follow you online?
Oh man, at Sir Amazing, just how it's spelled right there on IG. That's the best way to hit me. If you have specific questions or anything like that, hit me there. I think you asked how people can support me. I mean, whatever messages resonate with you, just let me know. Because there are days when we all go through those days where I'm not gonna say you want to quit, but you just question things, right? Because each day has its ebb and flow. Some days are really high, some days are low, some days are subpar. So when messages really resonate with you, and anything that God is using me to say or share, if it helps you, let me know, because those are the type of words of encouragement, words of affirmation. That's my number 2 love language. Like those are the things that help me continue to just share and continue to be focused and fulfilling that task.
True. Okay. James or Troy?
I would say when it comes to how can ladies support black men, I think that was the question. I think there's a few things. One, I think women taking accountability for their actions allows men to step up and take accountability for their actions. And what I mean by that is we both have to be on an even playing field. You can't hold me accountable when the bills don't get paid, when the garbage don't get took out, when this don't happen, when that don't happen, but don't hold yourself accountable when you step out of line in your role, whatever role that is. I'm not saying, every woman has the same exact role, but I feel like we as a society try to hold the other person accountable for what they did not do, instead of saying, what did James Hill do? Right? So I became a better spouse when I started looking at my actions and not my words, because I can say anything, but what did I actually do that made her feel the exact way she felt? Right? And then vice versa. I started looking at the actions that my girl took, not the words she said, not the promises she made, not when things are good. Let's look at the facts of what actions did you take, and let's hold you accountable for those actions. And it's not holding you accountable and then everything's done. Let's hold you accountable and let's figure out, can we fix this from going forward? Can we learn and grow from this? And does this make us a better couple to be together and move forward? And I feel like that word accountability, especially, is a curse word to women in general, right? However, if they step up and hold themselves accountable for their actions and the things that they did in the situation, I think we'll have a better relationship, because men, we just have to eat whatever comes to us. We get blamed for everything and we have to just take it in and just hold it. And I feel like men over the years have built up that wall to hold in a whole lot, but we shouldn't have to hold it in at the fullest capacity if women took accountability for what happened in the situation. And it's kind of side note, like, we have a lot of single parent households in America when it comes to the Black community. Part of it is because some men stepped out, and part of it is because some women didn't get the relationship that they wanted, and they put the man out. It's not that men are always stepping out. It's that some relationships don't always turn out to be the relationship that they wished in their head, white picket fence, whatever. And they don't give the man enough grace and enough time to even get to that point, and they put him out. So there are situations where and I know this from firsthand with people in my family and people who I saw growing up. The parent or the child is affected by the single household because of a relationship not working out, not because the father wanted to be absent. So I feel like, and that's something that I have seen women, when they got mature and older, they did hold themselves accountable to that and say, hey, my son is 14 now. He hasn't seen his dad since he was 8 because of a failed relationship. And I wanted to move on from the relationship. Therefore, I moved on from him being a father. That was my mistake. And from now on, I'm going to allow them to have their relationship outside of me. And that was something to applaud to her, because she held herself accountable in that failed relationship and that absence of that man being present. So I think accountability is what women can address on their own. And that way, that would take a lot of stress and a lot of weight off the man back, which in turns allow him to be supported.
Dope, man. Any message you want to share to any brothers that are going through it?
Yeah, man. Look, pick up that phone, man. Pick up that phone and make some calls and call some people who just want to hear you out, and they don't have the right answer. They might not have the right answers. They might not have $1 million to give you. They might not have a job to offer you, but at least they have that listening ear. And one of the things I realized is every time I got off the call with one of my mentors, the last thing they said is, hit me up, man. Like, if you need questions, if you need anything, hit me up. And I always think in my mind, nah, man, they busy, man. I can't call them. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying that, because I'm going through issues that I don't have to go through because they already went through it. They got the blueprint, and I can just pick up the phone. I pick up the phone for everything else. Why not pick up the phone for mentorship and problem solving? And don't be that person in your own way like I have, not picking up the phone, not calling people, not expressing yourself, because you never know who's on that other end and how they can actually help you. And sometimes you don't need solutions. You just need to get the things out and put it out in the atmosphere and get it out of your head. Because once it's in your head and, just going through all those emotions and everything bottled up, it can be one situation that makes you snap. And that's not a healthy way to approach your issues. So I would say pick up your phone, express yourself, be vulnerable, be open. And even if you have to go to therapy, if therapy is not your thing, call one of your brothers, call one of your friends, call one of your mentors, somebody who can just hear you out on the situation you're going through.
Man, James, that's so powerful, because it's a two-way message and receiver. So with that message of, man, pick up your phone to call, I think we also got to be mindful of we're receivers a lot of times too. So I have to pick up that phone and answer. And
Yes.
A lot of times in this day and age, because we busy as heck, certain times the younger generations, there is no talking to somebody, you know what I'm saying? But I think now more than ever, if this is something so important to talk about, and we're seeing certain tragic events take place, when that phone call come in and you see that name, it don't take but a couple of seconds to say hello. And you can get a gauge for yourself how things are. It may be hard. They just calling to shoot the breeze. Okay, man, I'm in a meeting or something, let me hit you back, or, but that can be the difference maker. And I know me personally, there have been way too many times I've sent somebody to voicemail, and I would never want to get the consequences of somebody going through something and reaching out to me the way that they heard James say do. And that falls on me when I could have done something about it. So receiving that means, if we had that message that, man, people can call, taking that accountability for myself, and everyone, that's listening as well, we got to pick up that call too. Sometimes it's deeper than a text. It's deeper than a DM. It's we need some, interaction, with a live person. In some cases to stay alive. So that's dope. James, how can we support you in this brotherhood, and how can we follow you online?
I think one of the ways I don't spend a lot of time around a bunch of like groups of men, so I think just learning about that all of you guys in one way or the other participate in some type of group full of men that are expressing themselves and having that open line of communication. I think that's a good way. I just want to learn more about some of the groups you guys have, and I don't know if we can connect virtually or not or whatever. But if that is a component, I would love to connect that way, or at least just stay connected with you all. I feel like I don't have that many, I don't have that many men groups and things like that that I can come and join. So I think that's a great way to open that line up for support, because that is something I do. That is something I do need, and I would love to get involved in. And how you guys can connect with me is my social media is James Hill TV on all platforms, personally, and my brand is Black Millionaires on all platforms. So if anyone's listening to this, you want to connect, I would love to connect with you.
No, appreciate that, James. And man, Troy is gonna close us out. Before you do, Troy, I want to shout out a Black queen who put this all together, Jackie. Works with Rolling Out. It hit her heart when she heard the news about Twitch to reach out to each of us and say, hey, we need a panel on this peace and purpose, to get it done within 2 hours, so that it can air, within 24 hours. So salute, because that woman, to all the advice that we've kind of been sharing, she found her place as a queen to say, what can I do? She was going to moderate it, but then she was like, Marcellus, hey, if you can make some time, I want all men to have a safe space to kind of speak on this. And she put it together and then took, a backstage to support us as we're chatting now, behind this platform. So salute Jackie for doing that, and salute Rolling Out for having this type of platform. Munson Steve, and all the support for putting this in place. So, Troy, if you can let us know, man, your final advice to give to brothers who need that love language, communication to move forward, in life, and how we can support you as well.
Man, just really quickly, like I said before, well, I didn't say this before, but therapy is important. All brothers need some therapy, counseling, just even some, other men to keep them accountable in their life. And I'm glad to have that recently. I never had that my whole life as well too. And I also grew up with 5 women, I have 5 sisters, wife, mom, a lot of female energy around me. So it's just interesting that in the past few years, I've started like really just been praying, whatever, for like good men. So I also want to connect a few brothers as well too after this as well. So yeah, therapy is also a good way. Finding men's groups in the area, reaching out to people. And yeah, I just think that I think now we have so much more information now, especially on trauma and healing and all the kind of stuff that we can now pass it to each other, when before it was just oh, something's wrong with you mentally, you must be crazy, whatever, just go drink some tea. And in our Jamaican culture, we'd be like, just go drink some tea, you'll be all right, tea don't fix nothing, neither does it. But we used to mental health was looked down upon before, but now we're starting to really see the sorry, my son's just doing something wrong. Now we're starting to see
that's that fatherhood, that's that Black man
leadership. Fatherhood, and really quickly, just 19 Keys posted this, and this is the same support I'm going to ask for 2023. He said, rules for 2023. For all those in my life, put me on game, give me connections, formulas, strategies, and deals. Speak my names in rooms of opportunity. Be intentional with helping me build. Cut me in on equity. Look out for me. Protect me and have my best interests at heart. So I'll be specific when, you know, when I say like, hey, how can we look out for you? Those are things you can look out for me for. And I want to also be like that for you brothers as well too, and any other brothers as well too. Any way that I can, you know, speak your name in rooms, any situations I can help build with, you know, make connections with. I have a lot of great mentors as well too, in the music, on the acting side, all that kind of stuff. It's important. But what's most important as well too, us as men, as us Black men community, is that like we need to really build with each other. And what I mean by that, I mean by like income levels as well too, wealth levels, right? For example, amazing, brings me an opportunity. It's my job not just to say thank you, peace out. It's like amazing, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Here's a piece of this for making this happen. Here's a piece of this. And I know that my multi-millionaire, the Black millionaire friend, social media, I'm sure y'all do this all the time, but like one of my boys, you know, one of my boys, he's a millionaire, whatever, his partner's a billionaire. He's like, yo, like we do stuff together all the time. He's like, I don't see that in the community. He's a white man telling me this, you know. He's like, you guys don't do stuff together, man. Y'all don't buy buildings together. Y'all don't buy cars together. We have planes together. We have condos. We have houses together. Like that's how we do it. He's like, I don't know how you guys do it just by yourselves all the time. He's like, the more you put together, the more you will have, you know? So next year, I just really want to, you know, how y'all can support me is like, shoot, let's build, man. But like, let's really build. Let's build on receipts and invoices and cashing out together as well, too. That's it. And praying together. Number one, that's how we can support each other.
Man, love that, Troy. Sounds like there's a Black billionaire brotherhood club where all of us is gonna be a part of this next Black billionaire. We all gonna have a stake in the next one there. So they're gonna have to put all our faces on the next Forbes or Black Enterprise magazine. So
there you go.
no, Rolling Out magazine for sure. So man, appreciate you all, man. James, so amazing, Troy, Matthew. Incredible brothers, powerful brothers doing powerful things. Brothers in this chat and sisters who have come to support your brothers. Appreciate you all as well. This has been Black Men, mental health, and we're gonna stay alive, and we're gonna thrive. So, salute, rolling out, peace and purpose virtual retreat. Enjoy the rest of the panels. Peace.
Thank y'all. Peace.
I love it. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys, man. Let's follow each other, man.